Okay, I think we're recording. Cool. FYI, if you get any Zoom bombers, just click Zoom security button at the bottom and then click red link at the bottom of the Zoom security to shut them up. Awesome. Great tip, RJ. Appreciate that. Yeah, I was keeping an eye out to see if we get Zoom bombed. So yeah, I took the harder way last time, but this way should be easier. So we're not going to work on prompts today. A couple of months ago, I think at this point, ChatGPT code interpreter came out. Really amazing concept. I didn't get to play with it early on. Again, only top level researchers got to play with it in the influencer space. So 2 weeks ago, they basically gave ChatGPT a code interpreter to anybody who had a paid account on ChatGPT. So I've been a paying customer for ChatGPT since I don't know, whenever they first started, I don't know, November, December. So it's $20 a month. And I've said publicly, it's the best $20 I've ever spent. You get access to all kinds of new stuff. You get access to, if you want to use the older version, so to speak, like the 3.5, you have access to it all the time. You never wait. There's no outages but for like ChatGPT 4 and things of that nature, even for the $20, you get access, but they throttle you to like 25 queries per 3 hours. And it's not as fast, but it's much more accurate. You can really get a sense of what's going on. So when they announced the GPT stuff, the code interpreter, they just 2 weeks ago opened it up to anybody who was a paying customer. So I've been reading up on it a little bit before it became public for all of us, and then start playing with it here and there. And I said, well, let me try something different. And I'm just going to sit here and go through some stuff off the top of my head. I know a little bit. I know how to prompt pretty well. That might help. But the ChatGPT code interpreter is all about prompting, but it's deeper than that. So I figured I'm going to be learning stuff. Hopefully this won't be boring for you folks. You get to see the way I think about stuff. And what I'm looking to do here is, as I go through my journey, anytime I'm in with new software. So again, I mentioned I was with Monad, PowerShell was named before PowerShell. And, I would actually sit there with PowerShell and I was like, what is this thing called an object pipeline and an object flow engine? And I would try things, right? And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't understand it. I was used to being, you pass text and you parse the text and you do all kinds of things you do in Bash and you set awk and grep. And all of a sudden we have this new thing where you can do with pipes, with objects and properties, and you can set them like, so I just would sit there and play with it to get a feeling for it up, so I could up my intuition. So that's the same thing I'm going to do here. So just as a note, follow me on Twitter at DF as in Frank, INKE. I talk about all my upcoming meetups, people that are going to be speaking at my groups. I talk about AI and ChatGPT. I publish videos there. I publish videos to my YouTube link so that my YouTube channel, so you can check out deeper videos I do. And Thursday we have a speaker, Sean Lowry from the community. He's actually contributed to my PowerShell AI module, and he'll be talking Thursday a little bit about AI, but how he went from intimidation to presentation in the PowerShell space, and checking things in and doing speaking, and he's going to do some cool things on this Thursday. So you're already on the my meetup, so you can check that. That next meetup is coming up on Thursday. So let's pop over to AI. So this is ChatGPT Plus. This is $20 a month. And the cool thing is, if you sign up for $20 a month, they make it really easy to cancel. So if you want to just sign up and cancel right away, you can. You get the full month. If you're concerned about spending too much money, or don't want to spend that amount, and if you're not using it, you can drop off or you can resubscribe. So it's pretty straightforward, I think. Let's see. So this is ChatGPT Plus. This is GPT 3.5. As I say, the fastest model, great for most everyday tasks. It's the older version, and it's like 6 months old. So that's old in the AI terms. And then you have the GPT model, and you have the default model. You have the code interpreter model, and then there's plugins. They're both of those are beta. They used to have the Bing search integration, They've since turned that off because there was ways that you can do prompt injection, so to speak, and you can get it to respond with unwanted type responses. So they've turned that off, and they're retraining it to make it better and safer, so to speak. Now, how do you turn this? So you have to opt into the code interpreter, and you do that by clicking on the three ellipses, the ellipse down here on the bottom, three dots, and you can go to settings, and then you can go to, I think, beta features. Yeah. And then typically code interpreter, when they released it, you actually have to, this is turned off. So you have to turn that on. And once you do that, then you can choose GPT-4 and you can click code interpreter. So this also, just note that this is an interactive discussion. Feel free to drop questions on anything. If I think it's coming up, I'll talk, wait till it comes up. Otherwise, maybe it's a good rabbit hole to go down. Again, this is completely unscripted. I have not sat down to figure out how would I do a presentation. So this is not like a typical, meetup. It's not a conference session. This is me just playing around, doing some stuff. But I've got code interpreter on my side, so I think it's going to be pretty exciting. So I've enabled this for code interpreter. Now, one of the things I do when I'm sitting here, what I like to do is say something like, what can I do? Now, can everybody see this? I'm typing there at the bottom. And if you want, I can make this larger. So I'm going to ask GPT, what can I do? Yes, we can. Excellent. So if you can't see this, or some of the other screens will pop up, just let me know and I can make it better. So what can I do? Helping with studying, writing and editing, programming help, simulations, language translations. So since I played with GPT for a while, that kind of feels a little bit like it's, not really about the code interpreter. So let me ask it about, what about the code interpreter? So I'm going to get a little more specific. And this is not a, GPT is not a Google search engine. It's not about typing stuff in with keyword and doing keyword search. This is about having a conversation that with something that can have remember context and have memory, stuff like that. So yes, I can also execute and explain code in Python. That gets me excited. I can run Python code, present the results, and help debug issues if they arise. Here are a few examples. You can do calculations, data manipulation, visualizations. So if you're familiar a little bit with, now that's the challenge if you're from a PowerShell world or from the Windows world, if you're not a data scientist, or you don't do Python or Jupyter notebooks, this may seem a little bit like, well, what the heck is Matplotlib? What's Seaborn? What's TensorFlow and PyTorch and so on. Interestingly, Python has gotten us to ChatGPT. So the Python community and the work they've done, and over the years and decades, Python has enabled this new AI concept. So this code interpreter is designed on and around Python initially. I suspect, my prediction would be that it's going to branch out into many more things. If not delivered by OpenAI, it will definitely be delivered by the open source community. It can do text processing with regular expressions, so it can do a whole bunch of things. Let's see, please note, not all Python libraries are available, but here are some of the basics, right? NumPy, NumPy, pandas, matplotlib, scikit-learn. So those are all the key, really key Python pieces. So you can do things like that, and then we can go even further. So let's, so one of the things I was playing with, which I think is cool, is, let's say I was working, and I'm going to pick these as examples. I apologize if they're not core enough to what we do every day in business, but I think there are some analogies that are, you can extrapolate and go, oh, this is pretty cool. We can begin to think and have an imagination that, okay, it can go in this direction. So let's say I'm working at a school and I wanted to say something like, mock out a CSV file of, or I'll start with, I work for a school, right? Mock out a CSV file of teachers and a separate one for students they have. So that's kind of interesting because that prompt is a little bit more specific. It's not really a a high impact prompt, so to speak, or it's not a minimal effort, but it's not much more. And it's really kind of helping steer the model and say, giving what I want instead of saying mock out a CSV file of teachers, give it a little more sense. And what was cool there, as you can see, it was doing some work. So let it cook. Let's take a look at the work. So what the work is, it actually just wrote a Python program, did all the standard imports, and it did pandas, random, and faker. Faker's kind of cool because what faker does is it fakes information. If you're familiar with my name it PowerShell module, you can say things like, I want 1,000 entries and I want to have country code, state, zip code, make up some people's name. It's similar to that, but much more robust than what I have. So anyway, so it just comes up and says, all right, I want to do 50 teachers and 500 students. So it actually wrote a Python program to do all that. And then it shows me a little bit of the results that you get, right? And what's really cool is it goes on. So it's almost like a little data scientist. So you can think of ChatGPT, all of their stuff, all of ChatGPT, whether it be the plugins, whether it be the code interpreter, it's a really smart intern. So it goes ahead and creates, so basically you can give it a bunch of things to do, and then you can come back and review what was done, and you can give thumbs up, thumbs down, ask more questions to the intern, say, hey, that's great, can you go in this direction, can you go in that direction? So it created the files, and then it gives me the preview of data, and I have teachers and students, and then what's really cool, it actually created the CSV file, so I can click on the file if I want, and let's open the CSV file. It'll pop it open in Excel. And there you go. So I just created some mock data. And because it's using Faker, which is basically industry-wide from the Python space, this fake data is quite interesting, quite good. And you can go deeper than just name, email, subject. So this is some ways that I can actually create data. I even use Faker or similar libraries to create fake data that I can test against. Let's not save that. So I just asked it to create those, created both. Let's take a look. So teacher, and it did what I wanted. I don't know if it guessed it or what, but I have a teacher ID in teachers and I have a teacher ID in students. So now I can let's ask some questions. Show students by teacher. Again, if you want to just jump in, ask questions, give me a different direction to go to, happy to try it out. That's cool. I could see using this to mock up a list of AD users, using all the properties you should. Bingo. Excellent, Tyson. That is exactly correct. Yeah. So you could begin to imagine like, oh, what else do I want to mock up, right? To do some tests on. And as Tyson pointed out, AD is one of them. So absolutely. So here, and we'll watch that data pump out, but let's go also look at the code. And I'm familiar with DF is a data frame from pandas. So this is how you basically start merging data and joining data in Python. So, and we can start seeing it's coming up with the teachers, students, the name of the I don't know what the name. It's the name of the teacher and 18 students, and there's their email, and even shows the subject. So we'll let it cook. Question: when creating a CSV file, does this method only work through ChatGPT 4, or can it also work with 3.5? This only works in 4 and only in the code interpreter at this point. Okay, and code interpreter, what we're looking at is a beta. So we'll see when this gets fully released. Hopefully not too soon, not too long from now. Sorry, sooner the better. Gotcha. You're welcome. So yes, you have to pay the $20. I believe GPT-4 is available out of the box, and this should get enabled. So this is available. So there you go. So now we've got that all. We have that piece merged. So now at the end here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say show full, Python program, PGM, and I'm not even going to spell it out. I'm a horrible speller, and you can see I can't even spell Python, but GPT is so smart. It's awesome. Tyson, do you intend to work this capability into my PowerShell AI module? What do you think? This is, so let this cook. And so some people are saying that this is a plugin called the code interpreter. Other people are venturing out and saying this is not just a plugin. This is the next release of GPT. It's like GPT, we're at 4. So this is GPT 4.5. This is a finely tuned magic sauce type thing that they're doing. They have not released an AI, they haven't released a REST API for it yet, but as soon as they do, I will be on it and I will work through a weekend to connect all the dots on this, which I suspect won't be that much work. So what did that do? So check this out. Let's see if I can, okay, I'm gonna try something here. So this is where an unscripted demo can go completely in the wrong direction. I'm gonna go into Visual Studio Code, local to my box, and I have the Jupyter extension installed. Jupyter is an interactive notebook process. I also have the Polyglot interactive notebook installed. Jupyter works primarily with Python as an interactive kernel, and I believe it has Julia and maybe R. I'm not completely up on all of Jupyter kernel capabilities, but the Polyglot one works with all .NET, so it works with PowerShell, C#, F#, KQL, SQL, all bunch of other things with Python coming. What was the last prompt? The last prompt was quite complicated. Showed a full Python program. Is that the one you mean? Yeah, so I did all that work, and that's the beauty of the conversation, and that's the beauty of the context and the memory that it has. So I can go through a whole bunch of different things, and then at the end I can just do things like say, sum up what we just talked about, or show me the program, or just put all the CSVs in one file, et cetera, et cetera. So use your imagination of how you can do these things. Again, this is not a Google search, right? Google search, you put something in, you get some results, you tweak you iterate by tweaking your Google search. This is a conversation, and you'd be surprised what it can remember. So back to the code. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a Jupyter notebook. Okay. We'll detect some kernels. And the first thing this one is doing is setting up a Python cell. And this cell you can think of as if I'm sitting at the actual console and I'm ready to type and press enter, except it too has context. I can create multiple cells. It's like I'm pulling back the history, and then I can individually change parts of the history and then rerun everything or rerun parts and things like that. I'm going to select the kernel. I've got my Python environment installed. This is not important if you don't care about it, but it just kind of takes it to another level of fun. So here's the actual program. Now I'm running this live. I'm playing with this. This is the actual program we just built to create the mock students, teacher and student data, and then at the end to just print out some stuff. I have no idea if it's going to work. Let's run it up. And we don't need pep installed. And it got an error. All right, well, no, so I don't have Faker installed. Let's see if I can do a bang pip. And I'm not good at this kind of stuff. This is pip is basically the the Python. There we go. Will this actually work? So this is pip is like install module. So you can go out and grab all your Python stuff. Now notice it worked inside of the code interpreter, because in code interpreter, it has all of these things installed. And you can tell it to try and install other pieces, and we're good to go. So it looks like it might be satisfied, which is not a good, So install the package. Let's rerun the program, see if it's missing anything else or if it'll actually work. And it's nice, you get your little, see how long stuff takes. And so the mounts. So this is the interesting thing also about Code Interpreter, and there's so many, is that it basically, I hear it's using Kubernetes in the back, so it's using all kinds of containers. So what I'm going to do is, let me select all that, and then d/temp/code interpreter, because it has to create these files. Yeah, it's going to create them. Enter, hopefully I get this right. Okay, so let's see if this works. So now it works up on, and no, so I think I'm going to bounce out of this What, say the data frames? What doesn't it like? I think I might have gotten those wrong. Maybe because it's Unix and it wants proper casing. We'll try this one last time, and then we'll move on and play with some other cool stuff. Let's try and get the copy paste working. And I'll run it, and no, so I'm out. So there's something wacky going on. That's unfortunate. I've tried this a couple of times in different ways, and it actually has worked. Anyway, so let's go back here. So there's a possible chance I can actually ask it, I could ask it to run that program, and it probably would work up there because it's got everything installed and it's got the proper mount points, but for the file system. If I spent a few more minutes working through that notebook, we could get it to work, but maybe you found a bug. Well, I don't think I found a bug, and I could probably say, I'm going to run this on Windows on a local computer. I might have found a bug, highly possible, and but the fact is that it ran up on the code interpreter, so I don't think so. Cannot save into a non-existent D. So maybe I need, you know what? I'm going to try one more time. Let's see if I change the backslash. Code interpreter, oops. Nothing like this in POSIX compliance. Teachers, thank you. Teachers. Let's try it again. Hey, look at that. So no bug, but I could have been said, okay, I'm going to a Windows machine, and it might have, my guess is it would definitely would have flipped the backslash to the forward slash. Cool. Notice now I get my 2 files here, right? And that was done. So now I can sit up there and do all kinds of things. Again, I think the open source community, while this is all Python based, I have no idea how complicated it is to build a code interpreter. I think it probably is super advanced. But to plug in different languages, I can't imagine it's going to be that much more work. So this thing will be running R, Julia, probably running C#, probably running PowerShell. So if you can get into this and start playing with it, you can start planting seeds for yourself and saying, oh, how can I use this to my advantage? So there you go. So we have that. It is all Python based. Let's have some more fun with the same data. Let's say I want to say graph students per class. Let's see what it does. It doesn't work with PowerShell yet. No, it does not. It will give you PowerShell. So there's a bunch of differences here, right? So 3.5 and 4.0, you can ask it stuff about PowerShell. The difference here is the code interpreter actually creates programs at this high level or with this efficiency, and it also runs the code in a Kubernetes containered environment. It does not run C++, it does not run C, it does not run PowerShell, etc. Not yet. So does that answer? Hope that answers that question. So there you go. So maybe we can get some more information. Well, actually, that's kind of boring. So it's 1 o'clock. I wanted to go about 30 minutes, 45 minutes. If people want to hang out longer, fine. Because once I drop off on this, I'm going deeper because I want to see the devil. So let's play around a little bit more with. And nothing, my demos don't count unless I have a little bit of Excel involved. So what are we going to do? I came here, created a PowerShell file, and I have snippets that I've written. I think I have them up there. So there I have some basic data for region, state, units, and price. And what I'm going to do is take that data and export it. Excel. Let's see if I can export it here to, I don't know, sales.slxx. We'll just run that. And if I get the right keystrokes cooking, I always forget that I'm in a actual file as compared to a notebook and I hit the wrong keys. So sales, there's the sales. Here's some cool stuff. I think this is really slick. So I'm going to go to the little plus sign next to the send, and I'm going to go to temp. Oops. And let's go to code interpreter. And there's my sales, right? I'm going to upload my sales data up to the code interpreter. And I'm just going to say, let's go. Great, you've uploaded a file. Let's load the file and check out the contents. So this is the difference, right? So I'm actually executing in Python. How cool is this, all right? When I started seeing some of these as examples from different researchers, completely blew my mind. I'm like, are you serious? This thing can do what? So what is it doing? So it already knows that I've got region, state, units, and price. It even gives me an explanation, which I didn't have in the data. And again, we should see. So Pandas has a read Excel capability, works like my import Excel. And I did not take it from Pandas. Mine was purely made up on weekends. And it shows me the data and it starts giving me a bunch of information. So how do I want to proceed? And I'll say, what can we do? So if you don't know, if you have no ideas, ask it. It's a smart intern. So look at that. I can do descriptive statistics, state-wise analysis, distribution of sales, correlation. So it's telling me what it can do. And I'm going to say, like I'm ordering from a menu, let's do a number 3. And off it goes. So it starts executing code and it basically comes back, future warning on indexes, that's fine. And there you go. So now it's doing stuff by a table. And let's say I want to say graph region and units. And now notice my prompts aren't really that deep, right? That's the level we're getting to. So the prompting is going to be really important going forward. And at the same time, the models are getting really amazing. Let's see what we got. Now, I believe, because I have multiple north, east, from this graph we can see the west. Yeah, I know. Here's a bar chart. Try again. It didn't give me a bar chart. So I'm going to say try again. Now, some people would get that and they would throw their hands up and go, this thing doesn't work. I can't make it work. You have to figure out like how you're talking to somebody that, and it may not work this time. There we go. So now what's really cool is this actually, I have multiple entries for northeast, south, and west in the actual data, that snippet I did. So it actually accumulated it and then gave me a graph. And now I can say add price or separate price graph. Now you can get as detailed as you want with these prompts, which will make things better and so on. Could you ask for pie chart or different types of charts? Absolutely 1000% correct. Is this price? Yep. So there's price and that's that. So yeah, so Seaborn and Matplotlib have been around for 100 years. Those libraries for Python, they do every kind of analytic chart that you could ever think at. Caveat is you have to check the results. Yes, definitely check the results. The major difference is this is actually running code it generated. So it could make a mistake, but it is far better than GPT-3, 5, and 4 because it's actually developing code. It's actually creating code, running code, and checking certain parts of its results. To what degree it's checking its results, I'm not positive, but I have not seen errors when it comes to these types of things. But yes, don't trust anything that comes out from here. Remember, chat but verify, very important. Okay, so I got a graph. Put them side by side. So I can guess at some of these things because I play with the matplotlib. So let's see if this comes out correctly. Matplotlibs and Seaborn, you can put like multiple charts in a grid. You can have like a 2x2, a 3x3. So let's see so there you go. So now I've got that ready to go. And can I have a JPEG? And I'm not even spelling out JPEG. So what did we do here? And I think this should Yeah, we can take a look at, and there you go. And that's the plots that I understand inside. And I have saved the side by side, and there it is. And I can click and download. And let's open that file, and done. So this thing can read PDFs. It can read Excel files, CSV, text, unstructured, structured data, whatever you'd like. And you can begin to you can take the code and you're off to the races, or you can actually say, I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want to take the resulting charts, so on and so forth. And I can say something like explain or summarize the info. And then I can have I'm pretty much ready to go. And yes, I wouldn't take that, drop it into a PowerPoint and run to a meeting. I want to, it's not what I wanted. So there I was. That was too much of a minimal effort prompt. I wanted to summarize it. We did it. Oh, there you go. So it's summarizing what we just did about the state-wise analysis and regional analysis. I kind of wanted it to do summarize the data, so I could put it as a sentence underneath the charts, and that would be the exact sentence I typed in. So there you go. This thing gets people have used this to do PyTorch analysis, and PyTorch and those types of products. You take a bunch of data and you're like a data scientist, and you can take vast amounts of data. I think you can upload 100 megabytes of information, and you can have it run analysis across many, many different fields and do all kinds of data science, coefficient mathematics, matrix, linear algebra, you name it, you got it, because it's all basically what data scientists do in Python. Here you just have fun with mock data. Do you see this being used in the enterprise? Absolutely. Do you think they'll have enterprise versions? Absolutely. And that isolate the data you input? Absolutely. Let me just take this off to the side for a second, then I'll bring up something else. That's a great question. Yeah, it is about you can't, yes, be very, very careful. What I did here, mock data, right? I didn't give it any data, my own personal data. It's going up to the cloud. It is going to OpenAI. They have all kinds of stuff saying, oh no, we don't, we don't keep any of that. Okay, trust but verify again. They basically are a Microsoft company. So here it is. They have as you can see up here, it says Azure OpenAI, right? This runs on the cloud. I've got a version running, and I can click on go to Azure OpenAI Studio. And this is my private instance of OpenAI's transformer models, GPT, ChatGPT. I can do chats, completions, Dolly. They just put it in preview. So I can do images and whatnot. I can do all kinds of stuff, load up my data files, etc. Notice here it says this is 3.5 turbo GPT-4 models. Doesn't talk about the new code interpreter, but this is my own private instance. Now you need to have faith in Microsoft, and that your private instance on Azure is going to be private, it's enterprise level, encrypted, ABC, logging, all that kind of good stuff that you've come to love, hopefully, about Azure. Notice it doesn't have the code interpreter. They will lag behind the latest models and the latest tunings and special sauce by a couple of months, 2 to 3 months, because they have to roll out these giant models to all of the instances in Azure. But this is a way forward, etc. Do you feel employers would allow employees to use ChatGPT under the conditions they have to be more productive? I will not speculate on such things, Jim, but that is a great question. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. If employers going to sit there and go, hey, you've got ChatGPT. So I just did that little mock analysis, right? So imagine I can, and especially with M365, with all the co-pilots coming in every single product, and you see some of the demos like, hey, I'm having a meeting with Bob, and I want to do summarize my last 2 meetings and what were the charts that I did, and can you update them with the latest sales stuff? Yeah, management. Why wouldn't you expect your employees to be that much better and faster? Especially like in my standard presentations that I do that are not scripted like this one, or are not unscripted like this one. AI is not going to replace you, but someone who knows how to use it, absolutely. So if I can upload data and I can write PowerShell modules around all this kind of stuff, and I can interact across an Azure space, so on and so forth, I can knock things out, and I understand prompting a little better. I'm a little bit ahead of the curve there. But once you start learning these things, why wouldn't you be able to outperform somebody who doesn't use tools like this? That's like walking onto a construction site and you've got a hammer, and somebody over there's got a nail gun, and they're putting up walls left and right, and you're like done with 2 pieces of drywall. So that's my thinking. I could be completely wrong. So yeah, we're coming into some really interesting times. With Azure AI Studio, does it provide the various models you can use? Can you fine tune, create? Absolutely, yes, Tyson. You have access to all the models. So you can see here's the models, and then you can tell which ones you want to use in your instance, which ones you want to deploy for people to tap into. It's all set behind keys, so you have to hand out those keys. You can do fine tuning. You can provide your own data. So yeah, this is basically, this is the next level of OpenAI's models and capabilities, all in Azure. I have no idea what it costs. I have not looked into it. I'm a Microsoft MVP, and so I get this access to these things at no cost to me. I'm assuming it's going to be pretty expensive, but can the code interpreter be called via API? Rick, did you just get here? Somebody else asked that question earlier. I assume it will be. They have not provided a REST API yet. I can't believe they wouldn't. And I'm excited to get my hands on it, because I'll make it part of my PowerShell AI module. And I'm sure every other person out there who has their own wrappers into the REST APIs will do that. They have to make that available. It's going to be great. It's gonna next level things more than we even know. Oh, no problem. I was just having fun, Rick. I apologize. So yeah, so we're at 1:15. Anything? So what's today? Tuesday. I'll be playing with this a lot. I've been playing with a bunch. We've only just scratched the surface of what the code generator is, or the code interpreter. You can do anything you can think of. And what's also cool is that I've actually done smaller things with the Python piece, and then I take it, and it'll do it wrong here because we don't have this in PowerShell. But I have the new Copilot X. And I can select that. Now I just copied and pasted Python into my PowerShell file. I selected it. I'm going to hit Control I. So I now am interacting with Copilot X. It's the new version. It's also souped up, unbelievably capable. And I'm going to say convert to PowerShell. Now it's going to be wrong, right? And this is what we call hallucinating. It's going to hallucinate an answer, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Oh, let's view it in chat. And you also get a chat window over here, and I can't even spell convert, which is awesome. There's already Python. If you want to rewrite, you will need to rewrite the code in PowerShell syntax. However, okay, so that's a new answer for me. So I get the nightly builds of Copilot X. So they're tightening it up. I'm not quite sure why I didn't want to do that. Usually it attempts it. But if I'm not using specialized libraries like subplots and matplotlib and whatnot, I can actually drop Python in here, and I can ask it to convert it, and it'll convert it to PowerShell, or I can convert it to C# or so on and so forth. Okay, any other questions? So this thing has, again, we spent 40 minutes looking at a couple of things. Oh yeah, one more thing, because that's what I do. I say I'm done, and then I say, hey, one more thing. Save as an XLSX. So I did a bunch of different things. Let's see if it knows what I'm talking about. Can it glean the context? And there's a sales summary. So it actually saving all that sales stuff that we just did, saves it as an SLSX. I can click on it, and then I can open it, see what it did. So I think, yep. And notice it did sales states, it did regions, and it did regions and sale price, which is the questions I asked. I could have asked it further, like save the teachers and the students as SLSX, and it would have done that as well as 2 separate sheets. So yeah, and then I do that stuff like that, and then I say import Excel in the PowerShell space, and I'm off to the races. So I like to underscore AI won't replace you. Somebody who knows AI will. So when certain kinds, it's like back when, I don't know how many folks here are PowerShell folks, but back in the day, when PowerShell first came out and you really started to learn how to use the object pipelines and tap into all kinds of different systems, you could get things done in, I'm going to say 1/20th the time, 1/10th the time, 1/5 the time, at least half the time it took your coworkers to do it, because they're sitting there playing with Bash, or they're playing with C# or whatever other language they wanted, or VB script or bat files. This is what AI can do. And as soon as they make this thing available for the REST API, then I can programmatically tap into it. It's really going to be a little crazy. It's going to be awesome what you can do. And then once they expand it to new other languages that you can actually run in the containers in their cloud, best $20 you've ever spent. I'm going to stop there. I can keep going. I plan on doing this, keep an eye on, I'll announce on Twitter. Get on my YouTube channel, Doug Fink, YouTube Doug Fink. Let's see, go there for real quick. I will be setting up live. I was going to do a live stream from YouTube. I hope nobody was over there looking at it because I had to cancel it. Let's go here. Okay. So I have things like, here's all my PowerShell AI modules that show you how to use my module. But bummer, I didn't put it. Anyway, I don't know where I'll put it, but yeah, find me on there. It's Doug Fink, YouTube Doug Fink. Let's see if this works. Okay, and subscribe to my channel. I post videos. I'm going to post what we just did here today. I'm going to post that. I'll do more stuff on Code Interpreter and the rest of ChatGPT, and I'll be doing more of these like live streams as I come across different things. I hope you found it interesting. You're welcome. Thanks for joining. Drop me comments, drop me questions, and I'm happy to respond and or do live streams on the information we talk about or you bring up. It'd be terrific. All right, folks, enjoy your Tuesday. Catch you later.